I slammed the cake knife into the table so hard the frosting splattered like fresh blood across the white linen. And my father's eyes, those cold, whiskey-veined slits, locked onto mine as he slurred the words that shattered everything. "You're nothing but another man's mistake. Aurora. Happy goddamn birthday." The room froze. Forks hovering midair. Aunts and uncles pretending not to hear, while my mother's forced laugh cracked like cheap glass. But I saw it then, the lie they'd buried under 18 years of suburbia. The secret that made me the family ghost. I'd always known I didn't fit. In our cookie-cutter McMansion in Naperville, Illinois, where every lawn was mowed to surgical precision and minivans gleamed like trophies, I was the glitch in the code. My hair too wild, my questions too sharp, my dreams of escaping this beige hell too loud. Dad, Richard Harlan, was the king of it all, VP at a logistics firm. The guy who networked at country clubs and quoted Reagan like scripture. Mom, Evelyn, played the perfect housewife, baking pies for PDA meetings and whispering prayers over rosaries when she thought no one was listening. And then there was me, Aurora, named for some Northern Lights bullshit she claimed came to her in a dream, stuck in the middle, babysitting my little brother Tommy while they sipped Chardonnay and pretended we were the Huxtables. But that night, the 18th birthday they'd half-assed with a store-bought sheet cake and zero enthusiasm, it all unraveled. We'd gathered in the dining room, the one with the crystal chandelier that cost more than my college fund. Tommy, all of 12 and oblivious, was blowing out candles on his own mini cake like it was a fireworks show. The adults clinked glasses, toasting my big girl year, whatever the hell that meant. I was wearing the dress Mom picked out, navy blue, modest, suffocating like I was auditioning for Stepford Wives 2.0. Richard leaned back in his leather chair, tie loosened, scotch in hand, and fixed me with that stare he reserved for underperforming stocks. 18, he drawled, voice thick with bourbon. Old enough to know the truth, I suppose. The table went quiet. Mom's smile faltered, her fork scraping porcelain like nails on a chalkboard. Rich. Not now, she hissed. But he waved her off, chuckling low and mean. You think I've slaved away building this life for you, Aurora? For a kid who's not even mine? The words landed like a sucker punch. I felt the air suck out of the room, my chest tightening as if someone had yanked my ribs apart. Tommy's eyes widened, cake forgotten, and Aunt Linda gasped into her napkin. Not his. The man who'd grounded me for sneaking out to stargaze on the roof, who'd forced me into violin lessons I hated, who'd called my poetry hippie crap at every dinner. This stranger wasn't my blood. Mom's face strained white. Richard, please, but he wasn't done. He slammed his glass down, amber liquid sloshing over the rim. Another man's mistake. That's what you are. Your mother spread her legs for some drifter passing through town back in '07. And I've been paying for it ever since. Tuition, braces, that godforsaken telescope you begged for, all for his bastard. The word echoed. Bastard. I'd read it in books, seen it in movies, but hearing it aimed at me, it burned like acid. I stood up so fast my chair toppled, the screech slicing through the silence. You lying sack of shit, I whispered, voice trembling but steel underneath. Eyes on me now, all of them, pitying, horrified, fascinated. Richard just smirked, like he'd finally won some long game. Mom reached for my hand, tears streaking her mascara. But I jerked away. Is it true? I demanded, turning to her. She crumbled, nodding once, a tiny jerk of her head that might as well have been a guillotine. I didn't cry. Not then. I bolted from the table, grabbing my keys from the hall console, the one engraved with "Home Sweet Home" in curly script.
Outside.
The November chill bit into my skin, but it felt good, clean, unlike the rot inside those walls. I drove aimlessly, tires humming on the Eisenhower Expressway, Chicago's skyline mocking me from the horizon like a jagged promise. My phone buzzed, texts from cousins, Mom's frantic calls, but I silenced it all. By dawn, I'd crashed at a motel off I-90, the kind with vibrating beds and roaches the size of quarters. That's when the real hook sank in. If he wasn't my father, who was? And why the hell had they let me believe the lie for so long? The next morning, nursing a coffee that tasted like regret, I rifled through the glove box for anything, old photos, a birth certificate. Nothing but insurance cards and Tommy's forgotten homework. But Mom's sobs from last night replayed in my head. That broken "I'm sorry" she'd choked out as I stormed away. Sorry for what? The affair? Or something worse? I needed answers. And Naperville wasn't giving them up easy. So I did what any pissed-off almost adult would. I went digging. It started small. A call to the county clerk's office from a payphone, yeah. They still exist in truck stops, requesting my birth certificate. Harlan. Aurora Jane, the clerk droned, born November 12th, 2007, at Northwestern Memorial. No father's name listed, just a blank line where Richard should be. That blank? It screamed cover-up. Back home that afternoon because fuck them. But I needed my laptop. I hacked into Mom's email. Password was TommyBear07, pathetically predictable. Buried in deleted folders. From 2006, emails to some guy named JM. Flirty at first. Miss you already? Can't wait for your next layover. Then panicked. I'm late. What if? We can't tell Rich.
GM.
Jack Monroe? I googled it. Heart pounding. Jack Monroe, investigative journalist. Chicago Tribune alum. Now running his own true crime podcast that had blown up last year with exposes on corporate corruption. The byline photo showed a silver fox type. Mid-40s then. Sharp jaw. Eyes like he knew where the bodies were buried. Layover. Mom had met him at O'Hare, back when she was a temp at the airport gift shop. A whirlwind thing. She confessed later when I confronted her. Tears and all. It was one summer. Rory. Your father, Richard, was working doubles.
Distant.
Jack was. Exciting.
Alive.
Exciting enough to knock her up. But why hide it? Richard knew, hell. He'd thrown it in my face, so why claim me? The answer slithered out over weeks of eavesdropping. Late-night whispers through thin walls. Richard had his own skeletons. In 2005, he'd been caught embezzling from his firm, fiddling expense reports to fund a gambling habit that had him $200,000 in the hole. Mom found out. Threatened divorce. But Jack? He was sniffing the story for a Tribune piece on white-collar crime in the burbs. Richard paid him off, hush money, disguised as consulting fees, and in return, Jack vanished from Mom's life. Except for that one last fling. The one that made me. Twist. Richard covered for Jack's tip-off. But Jack never ran the story.
Why?
Because Mom was pregnant. And Jack wanted out clean.
No scandal. No paternity suit.
So they all conspired. Richard raised me as his to keep the family facade. Mom buried the guilt in bake sales. And Jack? He ghosted. building his career on other people's dirt while mine festered under their roof. But here's the betrayal that gutted me deepest. I wasn't just the mistake. I was the scapegoat. Tommy Sweet, wide-eyed Tommy, wasn't Richard's either. Mom's confession came in a hushed kitchen confessional one rainy Tuesday, her hands wringing a dish rag like it was my neck. After you.
Rich.
He changed. The gambling got worse. He started hitting the bottle harder. And then
He hit me.
Bruises hidden under cardigans. Excuses for clumsy falls. Tommy, born 2013, was from a one-night stand with Richard's golf buddy. A pathetic revenge fuck. Richard knew, of course. But instead of leaving, he stayed for the optics, the tax breaks, the perfect family shield. And when CPS sniffed around after a neighbor heard the yelling, they pinned it on me. 15-year-old me. Troubled teen who provoked Dad's temper. I took the counseling sessions, the family therapy where I was the villain, the rebellious daughter bearing their sins. All to protect the real monsters. Rage doesn't build slow. It erupts like a fault line. I dropped out of senior year, screw AP Calc and college apps, and moved into a dingy studio in Wicker Park, waitressing at a dive bar called the Rusty Nail. Tips paid rent. But my nights? Plotting. Jack Monroe's podcast, Unraveled, had an episode on the cost of silence. Ironic, given his role in mine. I emailed anonymously. What if the fixer became the fixed? Got dirt on your Naperville ghost.
He bit.
Inviting sources to his Lincoln Park brownstone for off-record chats. I showed up masked in oversized sunglasses and a hoodie, spilling just enough. Dates. Emails. The embezzlement trail I'd traced through public records. Jack's eyes lit up like a predator scenting blood. This could bury Harlan, he murmured, pouring me a scotch I didn't touch. But as he leaned in, that silver fox charm cracking, I saw the flip, the cunning glint. You're her, aren't you? Evelyn's girl. I froze. He'd known all along? Bastard pieced it from the timeline. The suburb codes. Why now? He pressed. Voice oily. Revenge? Or daddy issues? I laughed.
Bitter.
Both. But you're in it too.
Jack.
That payoff. It's felony territory. Obstruction. Bribery. The works. He flipped then. First time of many. 1 minute. Allah. We'll expose him together.
Kid.
Make it a two-parter, suburban sins. Next. Defender. Richard's a prick. But he's no monster. Kept a roof over your head. By coffee's end, he was bargaining. Drop it. Aurora. I'll fund your escape. Art school. Whatever.
Just.
Family stays family. Family? He wasn't mine. But the hypocrisy stung. I walked out, vowing to unravel them all. Richard's flips were uglier, laced with booze and backhands. He showed up at the bar one night, reeking of cologne and entitlement, sliding onto a stool like he owned the joint. Come home, Rory. This prodigal daughter shit's embarrassing. I poured him a flat beer.
Vetching form D.
Embarrassing? Like calling your stepkid a mistake at her birthday. He winced. Theatrical. Heat of the moment. I love you.
Kid.
Always have.
Lie.
Next visit. Threats. Keep digging. And Tommy pays. You want your brother in foster care? Flip to crocodile tears on the third. I'm sick. Aurora. Liver shot. Need you back to help Mom. Each mask peeled revealed the mountebank, Cunning. Cornered. Clawing for control. Mom? Her betrayal was the softest knife. Twisting slow. She'd call. Leave voicemails laced with scripture and sobs. Forgive us? Rory. We're broken. But God's got a plan. Then, in person, the flip. Jack's a snake, stay away. Richard's the devil you know. But I found her emails to a lawyer. Prepping divorce papers. Stashing cash from Richard's accounts. She was playing both sides. Hedging bets while I bled. The tension coiled tighter. A noose of late-night stakeouts and encrypted drives. I teamed with a hacker buddy from the bar, ex-con named Dex, who owed me for covering his shift, and we unearthed the kill shot, Richard's offshore slush fund, fed by embezzled millions, laundered through Jack's consulting shell company. Jack had flipped from journalist to silent partner, profiting off the silence he enforced. The crime I'd borne? Not just the beatings, but the lie that shielded their empire. Tommy's accidents, my trouble, all diversions from audits closing in. Climax hit on a stormy April night, the kind Chicago brews up like black magic. I'd lured them all to the old Monroe family cabin up in Door County, Jack's neutral ground, he'd think, for one last parley. Texted each separately. Richard. A forged tip on Jack's betrayal. Mom. A plea for family summit. Jack. My surrender, with evidence dangling. They arrived piecemeal. Cars crunching gravel under thunderclaps. Oblivious to the trap. Inside. The cabin smelled of pine and deceit, fire crackling in the stone hearth. Shadows dancing like accusations. I waited in the loft. Heart hammering. A GoPro hidden in the rafters capturing every flip, every fracture. Jack first. Swaggering in with a bottle of Glenfiddich. Expecting capitulation. Smart girl. Coming clean. We'll bury this. Start fresh. I descended the stairs slow. Rain lashing windows like applause. Fresh? Like you buried me. Mom next. Huddled in a raincoat. Eyes darting. Rory. Thank God. Let's just go home. But home was ash now. Richard last. Soaked and snarling. Spotting Jack and lunging. You son of a bitch. This you're doing? Fists flew. Richard's wild haymaker glancing Jack's jaw until I stepped between. Voice cutting the chaos. Stop. Or the whole world's hearing this. The GoPro word as I laid it out. Timelines. Transfers. The night Tommy's arm broke from Richard's rage. The CPS file with my name forged as witness. You all made me the monster, I said, voice steady despite the storm inside. I took the blame for your fists, your fucks, your filthy money. No more. Flips cascaded then. A frenzy of self-preservation.
Jack.
Ever the opportunist. It's her word against ours. Run the story your way.
Kid.
Hero's arc. Richard. Feral. I'll burn you all, starting with that brat brother of yours.
Mom.
Collapsing by the fire. I did it for you. Rory. To keep us together. Lies fracturing like ice. I hit upload. Live stream to a dark web forum deck seeded with true crime junkies. Podcast fans. Suburban whistleblowers. Views ticked up 100. 500. 10K. Comments flooded. Justice for Aurora or Family First splitting the feed. Readers picking sides in real time. Was I avenger or arsonist? Betrayed daughter or destroyer? The polarization hit peak when Richard lunged again. Not at Jack but me, hands around my throat. Eyes wild. You ungrateful whore, ruining everything. Jack flipped hero. Tackling him off. Mom screamed, dialing 911. But the real snap? As sirens wailed distant, Jack whispered in my ear, "Pinning Richard. You're mine. Aurora." Blood calls to blood. Walk away now, we'll split the fallout. Build something real. His hand on my arm. Not violent but possessive. Like he'd finally claimed his mistake. I shoved him off. Chest heaving. The cabin door burst open. Cops. Badges flashing and lightning. Handcuffs clicked. Richard for assault. Jack for the ledgers we'd emailed preemptively to the feds. Mom? She flipped last, pointing at them both. They made me do it, but her eyes on me, pleading, broken. As they hauled Dad away, bellowing curses, and Jack shot me a wink, fucking wink, like we shared a secret joke. I realized the revenge wasn't clean. It was a mirror, shattering us all. They polarized the aftermath too. Richard plea bargained down to 5 years. Out in 3 with good behavior. Ranting in interviews about feminist conspiracies that tanked his fan mail but boosted his prison podcast. Jack. He spun it gold. Unraveled. The daughter's dilemma. Topping charts. Painting himself the flawed mentor. Me the tragic muse. Subscribers debated. Was he redeeming or exploiting? Mom got community service. Therapy mandated. And Tommy, poor Tommy, went to her sisters in Milwaukee. Texting me sporadically. Miss you.
Sis.
You okay? I was guardian now. Legally. But what kind of big sister destroys the nest? The twist landed months later. In a manila envelope slipped under my door. No return address.
Postmark Door County.
Inside, a DNA test. Pristine and notarized, confirming Jack as bio-dad. But taped to it, a note in a scrawl, new since the emails. Wanted you to choose revenge over relation. Proud either way. Your real father. Proud of the monster I'd unleashed? Or the daughter who'd finally roared? I burned it in the sink, watching flames lick the truth to ash. Happy ending? Hell no. Tragic? Not quite. Just American as fuck, messy. Litigious. Endlessly debatable. Was Jack waiting to heal or to hustle? Did I avenge or annihilate? The court said I was victim. The tabloids called me villainous. But in the quiet hours, staring at Chicago's lights from my fire escape, I knew the real revenge was surviving their story, writing my own. Tommy's coming for summer. We'll stargaze. No lies between us. And if Jack calls, I'll answer. Once.
To say,
Mistakes all yours, old man. But I'm no one's anymore. The summer heat in Wicker Park turned my studio into a sweatbox. The kind where dreams curdled like milk left on the counter. Tommy arrived on a Greyhound from Milwaukee. All gangly limbs and guarded eyes. Duffel slung over one shoulder like he was heading to boot camp. Aunt Karen had prepped him with the sanitized version. Your sister's going through a phase. Sweetie, but the kid was sharper than that. At 14 now. Post-puberty awkwardness hitting like a truck. He hugged me stiff. Mumbling. Heard Dad's out early. Thinks you're the devil. I ruffled his hair. Same wild curls as mine. And lied smooth. Devils make the best stories.
tongue.
Hungry. We hit the Elotes Cardon Damon. Corn grilled smoky. Slathered in mayo and cotija that stuck to our fingers like glue. He devoured it. Silence stretching until he blurted, "You really upload that video? Like..."
Live.
I nodded, wiping lime from my chin.
Had to.
They were choking us figuratively. Mostly. His laugh was half-hearted. Eyes on the pavement. Mom says you're famous now. Bad famous. Famous. The fallout had snowballed since the cabin, my face pixelated on Dateline knockoffs. Reddit threads dissecting my vindictive glow-up, even a TikTok soundbite of Richard's slur looping with dramatic violin. Polarization peaked in the comments, half crowning me revenge queen, the other half doxing my bar shifts with homewrecker graffiti threats. But Tommy? He was the unintended casualty. Shuttled like baggage while the adults lawyered up. I took him to the Adler Planetarium, my one splurge. Tickets bought with tips and a side hustle transcribing Jack's episodes for extra cash. Irony burned, but rent waited for no one. Under the domed sky projector, stars wheeling overhead, he finally cracked. Was it worth it? Losing everything. I hesitated, the weight of that night pressing like humidity. Everything?
Nah.
Just the poison. We got the stars now. Back home. We binged Stranger Things on my ancient laptop, fan whirring futile against the heat. That's when the first flip post-climax hit, Mom. Unannounced. Key I'd forgotten to reclaim in her purse. She breezed in with grocery bags, Kraft Mac for Tommy, my favorite from childhood, and that martyr smile. Family dinner.
Kids.
Let's pretend. Tommy perked. But I saw the play, her court-mandated reconciliation therapy log needed filling. And I was the checkbox. We ate on the fire escape. City hum below. Her prattling about church groups and healing journeys. Then, casual as creamer, Jack's reaching out. Says he wants to meet you proper. Blood test and all. I nearly choked on my fork. Blood test. After he watched Dad choke me? Her eyes darted. Flip incoming. He saved you? Rory. And Richard. He's changed. AA meetings. The works. Maybe forgive. Forgive? The word soured like the milk. Tommy shifted. Uncomfortable. Dad hit Aurora? Mom's facade cracked. Hand fluttering to her throat. Ancient history.
Sweetie.
Water under. I cut her off. Voice low. Bridge.
Mom.
And it drowned us. She left in tears. Bags unpacked. The Mac congealing untouched. Jack's proper meet came a week later. His text popping mid-shift. Coffee? No strings. JM strings? The man was a puppeteer. I chose neutral turf, a Starbucks in the loop. Midday crowd thick with suits and students. He slid in across, latte in hand, looking every bit the podcaster. Linen shirt.
Podcast Meek Dan.
Aurora. Grown into quite the storm. His smile was disarming. That silver fox charm dialed to 11. We small-talked weather. Then dove. Saw the test results you sent. Classy touch. He leaned in. Voice confidential. Needed you to own it. Force the choice. Hate me.
Or
what? Family? I laughed.
sharp.
Or profit off it. Like you're special? His flip was seamless. Eyes hardening. That special cleared your name.
Kid.
Donations poured in, scholarships. Even. Check your mail. He wasn't wrong. Envelopes had trickled. GoFundMe from fans. Aurora's Aurora Fund for art school. But the flipback softened him. I'm not the villain here. Richard broke first. I just survived.
Survived. Like me.
Scraping by. We parted ambiguous, a hug that lingered too long. His card pressed into my palm. Call when you're ready.
Doors open.
Ready for what? The real father waiting. Or the next chapter in his narrative. Richard's release hit like a freight train. 3 years shaved for model behavior. Parole hearing transcripts leaked online, him tearful, blaming demons and that damn girl. The press swarmed my door. But I ghosted. Holing up with Tommy at Dex's crash pad in Pilsen. Dex, with his neck tats and nimble code, became unlikely uncle, teaching Tommy lockpicking while I plotted phase 2. Revenge wasn't one and done. It was erosion, wearing them down till the facade flaked. I started small, anonymous tips to Richard's new gig, a consulting firm for ex-cons. Whispers of his past rippled, clients bailed, board ousted him in weeks. His emails flooded my spam. Help me? Rory. For Tommy's sake, flip to rage. You'll regret this.
Then,
The killer, a leaked audio from a cabin, his chokehold, threats looped with commentary. Public flipped, lock him up trending. His AA sponsor dropping him cold. Mom's turn was subtler. A slow bleed. I showed up at her new apartment in Oak Park, downsized. Beige as her soul, with Tommy in tow for visitation weekend. She fussed, baking snickerdoodles that tasted like ash. But her eyes begged absolution. I've changed. Rory. Therapy. Prayer, real work. We played house. Tommy bridging the gap with 4-night marathons. But bedtime stories? I whispered truths to him. Mom's strong. But she chose silence once.
don't you?
Her flip came Sunday. Overhearing. You're poisoning him against me. I packed our bags calm.
No. Mom.
Just inoculating.
Jack.
Though the cunning bastard flipped most spectacularly. Post-release buzz. He pitched a collab. Aurora and Jack, Unraveled Legacies. Podcast gold. He swore, my voice, my art, sketches of fractured families I'd started selling on Etsy. His platform. Equal partners. Your story. Our reach. Tempting. The advance check gleaming. We recorded a pilot in his home studio. Walls lined with awards. His laugh booming as I spilled cabin chaos. Chemistry crackled, father-daughter banter masking the edge. Listeners ate it. Finally. Redemption arc. But mid-session 3. Flip. His producer unearthed my GoPro raw, uncut, including Jack's possessive whisper. You're mine. He cornered me post-mic. Voice velvet over steel. Leak that. And the fun dries up. Tommy's college? Gone. Blackmail. From the man who'd saved me. I nodded. Played along, laughed at his jokes. Teased his dad bod on air. But Dex? He was mirroring the feed to a dead man switch. One wrong move. And the full archive drops. Tension peaked at the podcast launch party. A swanky affair at the Violet Hour. Dim speakeasy vibes. Craft cocktails flowing. Chicago's elite mingled. Journos. Influencers. Even a state senator who'd followed the case. Tommy tagged along. Tux rental awkward. Wide-eyed at the glamour. Mom showed.
Tentative.
Arm in arm with a fellow survivor from therapy, flipped to socialite. Richard? Crashed the gate. Parole anklet be damned. Suit rumpled. Eyes bloodshot. The room hushed as he staggered to the mic. Bottle in hand. My daughter's a liar. Chaos erupted, shoves, screams, security swarming. Jack flipped protector, shielding me with an arm. Easy.
Rich.
She's family. Family. The word ignited. I grabbed the AUX, looping the uncut audio over the speaker's choke. Whisper. All of it, Jax, your mind booming like judgment. The crowd split. Gasps of horror. Cheers of expose him. Fists clenched in debate. Mom fled. Sobbing, Richard lunged. Tackled by bouncers, Tommy froze. Then grabbed my hand. Run. Rory. We bolted into the night. Alley shadows swallowing us. Heart pounding like bass from the bar. Sirens wailed. Assault charges for Richard. Breach for Jax. Harassment. Clause in our contract. I hailed a cab. Tommy's head on my shoulder. Whispering, "Was that the plan?" No plan. Just reaction. The revenge evolving. Unpredictable as Lake Michigan gales. In the cab's vinyl hush. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Voicemail. Jack's voice. Calm as a confessional. Well played.
Kid.
Archives gold. Use it. But remember, blood's thicker than ink. Thicker? Or just stickier? The twist deepened next on. Envelope under the door again, stock certificate. Shares in his production company. Notarized to me. Your inheritance. Choose wisely. Dad.
Dad.
The word hung. Controversial as ever. Sell out? Cash in on the chaos? Or burn it? Like the test? Tommy voted burn. Too many strings, but his eyes lingered on the figure. College. Stability.
Me?
I framed it. Hung on the wall beside my sketches, a reminder that revenge's end is never tidy. Readers still debate the drops. Hero's gambit or hubris. Jack waiting. Or warning. We moved upstate that fall, me to Columbia for graphic design. Tommy to a magnet school with actual counselors. Mom visits Sundays. Flips less now. More genuine cracks showing. Richard rots in county. Appeals denied. Jack tours with the legacy arc. Name-dropping me like a co-star. I tune in sometimes, sketching his lies into caricatures that sell for thousands. Happy? Closer. With Tommy's laugh echoing in dorm halls. Tragic? The scars whisper yes. But debatable, always. That's the American dream. Ain't it? Fractured. Fierce. Forever unfinished. Winter gripped New York like a grudge. Snow piling on my walk-up sill, muffling the city's roar to a dull ache. Columbia's campus was a grind, figure drawing till my fingers cramped. Lectures on postmodern identity that hit too close, but it beat Naperville's noose. Tommy thrived at his school, braces gleaming in video calls. Acing robotics club. Building a drone to spy on you, he'd joke. But his ease was the win. Unscarred by the flips we'd fled. Mom's visits became ritual. Amtrak up. Tupperware of lasagna. Stories skirting the edges. She'd softened. Therapy carving out honesty like a sculptor. I was weak. Rory. Chose safety over spark. We'd walk Central Park. Breath fogging. Her arm tentative in mine.
No flips.
Just falters, admitting Jack's calls. Richard's letters from lockup begging one visit. I demurred. Let him stew. But her eyes pleaded the unspoken. Family. Fractured but fixable? Jack's shares loomed. A digital ghost in my portfolio app, valuing at $50K now. Climbing with his tour buzz. Emails pinged weekly. Guest spot? Your arc's the hook. I ghosted. But Dex, now legit consultant in Chi, nudged. Leverage it.
Girl.
By Tommy's future. Leverage. The word tasted like compromise. Then, the call. His producer? Voice slick. Jack's sick. Liver cancer. Stage 3. Wants you there. End of story.
Sick.
The irony clawed Richard's booze-ravaged organ. Now Jack's payback. I booked the flight to O'Hare. Tommy's Go See the Bastard echoing. Chicago welcome me gray. Slush sucking at my boots as I Ubers to his Lincoln Park lair. The brownstone loomed. Ivy choked. Door ajar like an invitation to judgment. Inside, it smelled of antiseptic underleather, hospital bed in the study. Monitors beeping soft. Jack propped up, gaunt but grinning, oxygen tube snaking like a leash. Aurora. The prodigal returns. No charm now, just bones and bravado. We talked halting his regrets, should have claimed you day one. My sketches show am at the launch. Flips minimal. Exhaustion muting the mask. The shares? Yours free and clear. No strings but this, forgive or forget. Your call. Forgive? The cabin choke replayed. His possessive grip. But watching him cough. Eyes dimming. Pity stirred, controversial. Unwelcome. Why me? I asked, voice cracking. He wheezed a laugh. Blood.
Kid.
And maybe. Redemption cells. There it was, the flip. Faint but feral. I left ambiguous. His comeback trailing. Richard's visit request arrived same week. Parole board mercy. Family reconciliation. I met him in Cook County visiting room. Plexiglass thick as grudges. He looked shrunken. Orange jumpsuit swallowing him. But eyes sharp. You win. Rory. Ruined me good.
No apology.
Just barter. Drop the appeals block. I'll sign over the house, Tommy's inheritance. Flip to venom. Or rot with my hate. I signed nothing. Walked out to snow flurries. The cold clarifying. Revenge's cost was clarity. They were small now. Their sins shrinking in my rear view. Mom's crisis hit spring. A breakdown mid-therapy, overdose attempt. Pills and wine. Tommy called hysterical. She's gone. Rory, flight 2. Hospital sterile and stark. She woke groggy. My hand in hers. Failed you both, she murmured.
No sleep.
Just fracture. We committed her voluntary. Me signing as kin. Tommy and I tag-teamed him weekends. Me summers rebuilding slow. With board games and brutal truths. Jack's end came quiet. Summer solstice. Producer called. Peaceful. Left you the catalog episodes. Rights. The will named me executor. A final twist. His legacy mine to spin or shred. Podcast fans mourned. Debates raging. Did Aurora kill the king? I archived it. Launched a subseries. Echoes, anonymous voices. Suburban survivors sharing unfiltered.
No glory.
Just echo, letting the betrayed narrate. The polarization lingered. A low hum. At Columbia's gallery show, my Fractured Family series. Canvases of silhouettes cracking under spotlights. Viewers clustered. Whispering. Inspiring or exploitative. A critic penned. Harlan's revenge saga, triumph or tragedy. I smiled for photos. Tommy beaming beside. Mom tentative in the crowd. Richard's letter crumpled in my pocket. Proud. Finally. Twists echo. Jack's unpublished files. Unearthed in cleanup, a 2007 draft on Richard's scam. Quashed not just for Mom, but because he discovered my conception, his own mistake, too messy for print. He'd waited, not to claim, but to watch me unravel it. Waiting. Indeed. Ending? We drove cross-country that fall, me, Tommy, Mom's shotgun, Route 66 reversed. Chasing horizons.
Stops at diners.
Stars unpolluted. No perfect bow. but peace in the cracks. Debates? Let M rage. Fuels the fire.
I'm Aurora Harlan Monroe.
Whatever that means. Avenged. Author.
Alive.
And if real fathers wait in wings, mine's the road ahead.